Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk about all the parts about making a podcast. I know that's such a big deal right now. So basically, I have a microphone here. I have it plugged into my Scarlett 2i2 USB device going into the computer here. And of course, I'm going to use a free program called Audacity. So the first thing we're going to do is going to make some intro music, make some outro music, and then I'll actually record the podcast. And I mix them all together, and I will bounce them down. And then that way you can put them on Spotify or make a YouTube video out of it or wherever you want to put your podcast. So let's go into Audacity. Now, Audacity is a free program that works on Mac, PC, and Linux. So basically, if you have a computer, this program will work on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go pick an audio file. This will be good for the outro music. So we'll just use this here. And I'll use the first, I don't know, 15 seconds of it. So I can just highlight it and then delete it. The other option I can do is just highlight what I want, copy and paste it, and I can make a new document and paste it into that. But I'll just go this route here, and then I'll use this button here to make it where I can see it a little bit more. And I can see, I know this part here I probably don't want to be as long. So I'm going to use the effects to fade out. Maybe fade out a couple of times. And we'll do the same thing, maybe fade in just a little bit. Make it a little bit smoother sounding. So we'll see this here. Okay, not bad. And I can actually just fade this part out just even a little bit more here. I'll have the outro music just a little bit longer, and of course you can use as much or as little as you want on there. So I'll just do that a few times, and that way it's just going to be almost nothing. Yeah, maybe fade out just a few more times. Yeah, okay. And then the intro would be. All right, that's cool. All right, so then I'll just do export. Export as a WAV file. You can do MP3 or whatever file you want to use. And I'll just call this outro out music 16 seconds. Okay, and there we go. So I can do the same thing for the intro music as well. And if I were to go find some intro music, let's see, we'll do import. And let's say maybe something a little bit simpler than that. All right, that'll work. So we'll use that one there. And same thing, we'll find a few seconds, something like that. So I'll just erase everything I don't want, hit delete, highlight it, and hit delete. I can make the screen a little bit bigger, make it a little easier to find where I want the beats to be at. Yeah, kind of like that part, bump, right there. So see if that works. And it might be a little bit too much. Maybe I'll just get rid of that there. And that way I can just kind of fade out a few times on here. Okay. And I'll just do a little bit of a fade in also. Effects, fade in. And there we go. So we'll see how that sounds. So I think that'd be fine. All right, same thing. Export as a WAV file. And we'll call this intro music. Say, I think like 15 seconds, something like that. And that way, There we go. So we got the intro music and we have the outro music. Great. So now I'm gonna actually record the podcast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the microphone here. I want to make sure it works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So I touch the microphone, make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. That way I know I'm using this microphone, which is good. So I'll just kind of make a quick little podcast here. I'll do like a little short, I don't know, a minute, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, something like that, whatever comes to mind. And I'll just kind of just dive in here. And I'll just call this History of Rock and Roll Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast, The History of Rock and Roll. Today's topic is technology. So if we go back to the beginning of recording technology, we go back to the record players, of course, and they started off with 78s, and then eventually they moved to 45s and 33 and a half albums and whatnot. So from there, we go on to some type of tape recordings, and they had the reel-to-reels, and they actually had some type of cassettes coming out. Then, of course, we moved from cassettes to compact disc, and that really had made a big change. And from that point on, they had some digital audio things, and of course now they moved over to some type of a digital format. So the MP3 was like one of the big digital formats that was used all over on portable players. Of course, there was WAV files and AI files as well. And then from there, we basically listen to music streaming wise. So it's pretty interesting to see the evolution of the medium of listening to music, going from records to cassettes to CDs to MP3s to now streaming services. And what's the future going to be like? How are we going to listen to music 1,000 years from now? Well, I guess we'll find out. Well, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. My name is Herbert Midgley, and I produced this, I wrote this, and I edited this, and I hope you enjoy this. And you can always go to rockhistorytube.com and listen to some more of our podcasts. Computed. All right, so there's a good little rough draft of a little podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's. All right, so cool. So I got that. So now let's add the other parts to it. And again, this is not a perfect podcast. I'm just kind of making it off the cuff. Hopefully you'll have an outline and everything. I've already thinking some things I missed in there, and that's fine. So I'm going to import audio. So let's import the intro music here. Cool. And then I'm also going to import the outro music. Great. So what I can do is I can grab the hand here, or actually not the hand, but this little 2 arrows, it's called time shift, and I can just move to where I want to put it at. So that's almost at the end of the podcast right there, isn't it? Okay, and then I got the intro there. And what I can do is let it play just a little bit before I start talking, just a touch there. And now you're going to notice it's probably going to be a little bit too loud, the music, but let's listen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast, The History of... So that's obviously a little bit too loud. So what I can do is pull down this music here, and basically every 3 dB is kind of what you notice on audio-wise. So what I would do, I would guess, I'm going to pull this down to negative 12 dB, because that way you can still hear it, but you're going to hear me a lot better. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast, The History. And even that's a little bit too loud for me. So I'm going to pull that down to like, let's go down to negative 18. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast, The History of Rock and Roll. Today's topic is technology. So if we go back to the beginning of recording technology, we go back to the record players, of course, and they start off with... So I can wait for that, but once I get into the beginning of that information. Today's topic is technology. So right there, I don't probably need any music past that there. So what I can do is just highlight that and just hit delete and do the same thing as we did before, kind of like a little bit before that. Go in there and then go and fade out. And maybe I'll do that even more than once. right, so let's listen to that now. Welcome to today's podcast, The History of Rock and Roll. Today's topic is technology. That's a lot better, isn't it? All right, so let's listen to this here. I already know it's too loud, but I'll go ahead and listen to it first. Well, I guess we'll find out. Well, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Just way too loud, right? So let's pull that down to what we did, negative 18 dB for now. Well, I guess we'll find out. Well, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. My name is Herbert Midgley, and I produced this, I wrote this, and I edited this, and I hope you enjoy this. And you can always go to rockhistorytube.com and listen to some more podcasts. Computed. All right, cool. So at the end, you kind of hear me breathe a little bit. So all I got to do is highlight that part there I don't want. Bam, gone. Computed. Great. There it is. So there is the podcast. Got the intro music, got the little my audio here, and it got that. Got the outro music. So now all I have to do is go File, Export, and you do WAV file or MP3 file. I'll go ahead and do an MP3 file because that's kind of the format that most people use. And I'll just call this Rock Podcast 1. Okay. And you can pick whatever quality you want. Typically, hard drive space is so good now we don't have to worry about compressing. 64 is kind of good for audio, but if you did want like 160, that's probably cool little medium there. I'll just go ahead and go full power because why not? And just for fun, as a backup, I'll export it as a WAV file, and that way I know it's completely good. Podcast 1, and I know this is uncompressed, so there we go. And what you may want to do as a backup, you may actually want to save this file first as this audio of you talking, and that way, if you did some bad mixing, you can always go back there later on. But that's it. That's how you can make a podcast using Audacity and whatnot like this. Now, if you have a webcam on your computer, that's going to be fine. This microphone's a little bit better. I mean, a little bit closer to my mouth, and it's a good microphone. And I've used this microphone a lot for singing purposes and whatnot. And so this is like my little music studio. This is where I record my albums and whatnot. You see the little keyboard back there and some guitars and whatnot. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. And as you can see, hopefully making a podcast isn't that hard. As always, rock and roll, and of course it does compute. If you like this type of amazing content, please subscribe to my YouTube channel because that would totally compute. Computed, yeah.